To the two phone calls that went to Lisa Neville on March 27, one of which is on the record coming from your office, were you aware of these calls being made at the time or afterwards?
Not at the time, I don't think, no. I think that as a function of evidence that's been led to the inquiry, I now am. But again, in terms of...
Were these made by your Chief of Staff?
Well,
One
in terms
of them
of
made
what,
by Lissie Ratcliff?
in terms of what questions have been put to me and what questions have been put to others, you need to speak to the inquiry about that. We've had a steady and consistent position. I went to this yesterday, whether it be in terms of witness statements or any additional material they've asked for. It's really not appropriate for me to be answering those questions while I'm answering your question while I'm answering their questions at the same time. If they want to give you further information, then that's entirely a matter for them. I wouldn't presume.
Lissie Ratcliff made at least one of those phone calls to Lisa Neville on March the 27th.
Well, I think I would simply refer you to the answer I've just given, and I'd refer you to the evidence that's been led. I think you confirmed that yourself in your first question.
In terms of the affidavit that you've been asked to provide, or the questionnaire, was any of those questions in relation to phone calls made from your office on March 27th? People from your office?
Yeah, there are a number of questions, and they all relate to sort of completeness sake type issues. That they're not new issues as such, and it will not require me in any way whatsoever to change the evidence that I have provided. I just want to make that point.
You have to provide new evidence. You keep saying that there was no clarification, there was no correction, but have you
it is not a
evidence?
by virtue of it's not my experience that inquiries ask the same question multiple times. So they're new questions, but they don't cover areas or ground that I would say was anything more than for completeness sake, given that or the sake of completeness, given that there's been some developments, Mr. Eccles and others. So I've got no difficulty with the questions. They've asked them, we'll provide the answer, and it'll be handed up, and then it'll be a matter for the board to do with that as they see fit. It is, again, I would simply say it is, it seems to me, one of those exercises where they feel obliged to ask a number of questions for the sake of completeness, and it's on that basis they've asked. I would assume, but I can confirm for you, at all points, at all times, we've been fully cooperative, and you'd expect nothing less from the very person who set the inquiry up, I would have thought.
Are you aware of the substance of those phone calls that were made on March 27th to Lisa Neville from your office?
No, I don't think I'm in a position to...
I don't think you're aware of what's in those phone calls.
Well, you're asking me about phone calls. I'm not going to speculate on...
No, I asked whether you are aware of the substance,
of
the phone
them.
calls that
No,
were made from your
I'm
office.
sort of searching I'm trying to answer you very carefully so as not to give you anything other than an accurate answer. There would have been lots of phone calls made that day. To the extent that we're both referring to the same phone calls, no, I don't believe. I wasn't aware of them at the time, so... You're
not aware at the time, but you're aware of what they are now?
The substance or the fact the call was made?
The substance of... You've already admitted that you're now aware of the phone calls.
No, I can't speculate on what that was. I think that people will have talked about different things, and it'll be for them to... we will answer the question. We will answer the questions that the inquiry has put forward, and I really don't want to trample on that process.
Previously, you said that no one else. Your office said that no one else had been required. You'd been handed over phone records, but not affidavits or statements to the inquiry. Has that changed? Have your staff now been required to answer?
I don't believe that's changed. No.
And Premier, have you had
any hesitancy on my part is simply trying to be as accurate as I can. The questions have been provided, they'll be answered, and I'd expect anyone who'd been asked further questions by the inquiry to do exactly the same. But I can't sit here to the highest of standard and quote you back verbatim what was said on a phone call months and months ago. But there's been evidence led, and my evidence will not be required to be changed in any way, shape or form as a result of the additional information that the board has asked me to hand up.